What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Bronx and Big Blue Breakdown. I'm your host, Brady Heslin, and today we have a lot to get into. The Giants get embarrassed by the Commanders, but the Yankees, on the other hand, have a great week and defeat both the Blue Jays and the Astros. So you're going to jump in and break all of that down. So let's just get right into it. So we'll start with probably what more people are here for me to talk about, and that is the New York Giants. Yesterday, the New York Giants lost to the Washington Commanders 21-6, but don't let the score fool you. It was a much worse game than that. So let's talk about it. What went well? Not much, to be honest. Not much. The pass rush looked good. Burns, Thibodeau, Carter all looked solid. Quiet game for Dexter Lawrence. And I would say Malik Neighbors. That was about all the good that you're going to get from the game yesterday. So maybe let's go by position by position. I think that might just be the easiest way to do it. There's a lot we could jump into. So let's start with the offense. We're going to get into some more stuff in the mailbag because I got a lot of questions about the Giants offense. Start with the quarterback position, Russell Wilson. He was 17 for 37, 168 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks. It was a bad game for Russell Wilson. It was a bad game. Was it all his fault? No. Did he do much to help himself? Also not. His deep accuracy was what really worries me because that was one of the main things that Giants brought him in for is because he threw a good deep ball. His deep accuracy was one of the best in the league. He has one of the best arms in the league. He was consistently underthrowing deep balls yesterday. And that was part of the reason why Neighbors only had 5 catches, yet he had 12 targets. He had to work for every single one of those catches and every single one of those targets. I mean, he was just really just off. He just looked off. I mean, he did zip a ball in late to Daniel Bellinger, but that wasn't necessarily deep. It just felt like he was underthrowing a lot of deep passes yesterday. Another thing that worries me about Russ, there were times pocket collapsing, or even if the pocket isn't collapsing, it feels like there were times where he was literally just running in literal circles in the pocket. He was just running in circles like a headless chicken, not knowing what to do with the football. I mean, completion percentage below 50 is obviously awful. The thing that you can say to defend him is, well, the offensive line. The offensive line was putrid. We can get into them next. The passing game actually wasn't, outside of James Hudson, probably isn't as bad as you think. It was the run. The run game was terrible. I mean, there was no push up front. And that's not just because Andrew Thomas is gone. There was no push from Michael Schmitz, JMS. There was no push from Runyon, no push really from Van Roten. Illuminor had a couple penalties, which isn't really like him, but he was probably the best of the linemen yesterday, and Hudson was a disaster, which is really frustrating because, I mean, let me rephrase that. He wasn't a disaster in the sense, he wasn't like Josh Azudu bad, but for the money they paid him and that they were like, we need a swing tackle, James Hudson's our guy for that, and they've had all offseason to prepare for not having Andrew Thomas, and for them to roll out James Hudson, that's just bad. So he was really bad. Maybe not a disaster, but he was really bad. And it's just frustrating. Just really frustrating to watch. Trying to think, Marcus Bowe got in on a few plays in the red zone. He got a target. I mean, we'll get into that as well. Running backs, wasn't all their fault. They had 15 carries for 30 yards. It was terrible. There was no push up front, but again, they didn't really do a ton to help themselves. Tyrone Tracy was the lead back. He had about, I believe, 70% of the snaps, and then Scadaboo and Singletary pretty much split the backup reps. Not a ton to say, really. I mean, Scadaboo had a few Cam Scadaboo plays. It was his first play, he picked up a blitz and threw a nice block, and then the next play, he got a screen pass and ran through 2 people and got 4 yards. So that was pretty much Cam Scadaboo in a nutshell. Wide receivers. So Malik Neighbors did have a good game. 5 catches on 12 targets, so not super efficient, but it all wasn't his fault. He had 71 yards. He was visibly frustrated, though, already in the first quarter with Dable. I'm kind of worried that, like, not right now, obviously, but maybe after the season or even one more year that he's going to, like, demand a trade or something because, I mean, he has just been given such a terrible situation. Darius Slayton was just doing cardio. He had 1 target on 66 snaps, so he was basically, I mean, he had the same amount of targets as Marcus Bowe. That's all you really need to know. Don't understand why they didn't try to give him more deep ball opportunities, especially since they're not playing Jalen Hyatt. So really their only deep threat is Malik Neighbors. If they're not going to throw the ball to Slayton, they just gave him a 3-year deal. Like, I don't understand why they're not trying to get him in the offense. It feels like Daboll's only gets him in the offense when he, like, absolutely has to. And then Wandale Robinson was pretty involved. I want to say he had like 6 catches for like 54 yards or something like that. I was a little surprised. I didn't think he was going to be as involved as he was. Some people could argue Wandale had a good game. I mean, he was fine. Like, he didn't really do anything wrong. I don't know if I'd consider it a good game, but like, he did his role, I guess. Tight ends, this really frustrated me. I was like actively wanting Theo Johnson out of the game when I was watching because it was just simple drops. Like, it was like a 3rd and long. You know how Russ is. Nothing's open. You just check down to Theo Johnson, and it just bricks off his hands. Like, is that going to be a first down? No, but still, like, catch the ball. Like, that's a 4-yard gain. Every yard matters for the Giants, clearly, because they can't get like anything going. So that was frustrating. But Daniel Bellinger, that's one thing about Bellinger is he's not really a deep threat, but he's going to catch the football, and he did that on that one ball. From Russ there late, and then Manhurts for some reason had a target in the red zone. It's whatever. So I think we hit pretty much everything on the offense except the play calling, which will be coming up shortly. Just wait. Now defensively, the pass rush was by far the best part of the Giants yesterday. Burns had 2 sacks. Thibodeau had a sack. Yeah, he had a sack. Carter, I think, had half a sack. I think I believe he had half a sack and then like a few pressures. Those guys are great. One guy that frustrated me, which is surprising, Dexter Lawrence. He had a really quiet game. I mean, he played like 70% of the snaps. I don't think I heard his name once the entire game. He was silent. Giants really are going to need him to get going. He's the best player on their team. So that was pretty surprising to me. At the same time, he hasn't played much football. I mean, he dislocated his elbow last year. I don't think he didn't play at all in the preseason. So hasn't played a ton. So maybe he's a little rusty, but still, like, this is Dexter Lawrence that we're talking about. Like, he needs to be a game wrecker for the Giants. I believe Roy Robertson Harris was the defensive tackle too. Nacho got in. At one point, the defensive line was Elijah Garcia, Nacho, and I believe it was Roy Robertson Harris. It might have even been DJ Davidson. I can't remember. But why are those 3 guys on the field together week 1? Week 1. Like, I posted this on X. There's no reason that there should not be at least 2 of Thibodeau, Burns, Carter, and Lawrence on the field at all times at this point in the season. At all times. I mean, Carter played, what was it, like 50-some% of the snaps yesterday? That was it. Like, that is just not acceptable. And I think Dan Duggan said this. Burns has a big ego. Thibodeau has a big ego. Carter has a big ego. So, something's going to boil there if those guys aren't all playing. So it'll be interesting to see how the Giants handle that. I mean, Burns literally had to shove Carter in the back to get him to sub out at one point yesterday. I think, the run defense was not very good at all. I mean, shocker. Who's shocked by that? Linebacker play was not very good. Mike McFadden went down with an injury in the first, so that forced Nwasa would have to step in, and that is a clear downgrade there. Bobby Okereke did have 16 tackles, but he felt quiet and not very good. It feels like his instincts are like gone. The safety play was not very good. Holland and Newman, they did not play very well. The secondary, Terry, I don't think he did a ton, but at the same time, Washington played a very sloppy offensive game. I'm trying to look up Terry's stats here. Deebo Samuel did have a good game, though. I don't know exactly. Yeah, Terry only had 2 catches for 27 yards, but there was a play I remember specifically where they had a touchdown. Jaden Daniels had Terry McLaurin for a touchdown and just overthrew him. Like, he had him for a touchdown. It was a pretty deep throw as well. Like, it would have been a touchdown. I'm confident about that. I know Ertz at least had a drop. Debo had a drop. So they played sloppy. Like, that's the thing. This game was 21-6. It should have been 35-6. Washington did not play their best game. And that also makes it frustrating where if the Giants just got like average offensive play, they are right in that game and they could win it. But they were just so bad on offense. Here's a good thing. Special teams. Special teams was good. Gano hit a 50-plus yarder. Gillen looked fine punting. It was kind of weird that Gillen had the opening kickoff, but then Gano did the rest. I don't know if that's something they're trying to do. I don't know. I'd love for someone to ask that question for media, but that's pretty much a good breakdown of the game. I'm going to get into some more stuff when we go into studs and duds and mailbag and whatnot, kind of about the future, but that's pretty much a recap of Giants Commanders. So let's get into some good stuff, though. The Yankees, they did their job. That's really what it comes down to. They did what they needed to do against 2 very good teams. They went 4-2, won both series. I said they needed to go at least 3-3. They went 4-2. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It was a great team week. I felt like the pitching was really solid. The hitting did enough. Defensively, they didn't do too much to screw themselves up. One thing I'm going to talk about in a little bit is Judge returning to the outfield. That's kind of a mailbag question there. But yeah, they did their job. At the end of the day, they did what they needed to do. They're only 2 back now for the AL East. And they got 2 tough series coming up, which I will break down in the looking forward segment. One thing I did want to specifically talk about, though, was Brian Walsh, the umpire in the Astros game. Like, how is there no accountability for something like that in the MLB? There's no reason that he set the McMahon play where Ryan McMahon clearly catches the ball and he says it bounced or it hit the ground or whatever. Or was it the transfer thing? So McMahon clearly caught the ball, dropped on the transfer, said it was a drop. That is just petty. That's just being petty right there. There's no other way to describe that. He threw out Boone yesterday. He was terrible behind the plate the day before the McMahon incident. And then that happens. And that could have single-handedly changed the game. Because it was runner on second, no outs. Instead of runner on second, 1 out, there was runners on second and first, nobody out. Like, that is a huge play right there. And he was just being petty. Like, that's just so frustrating to me. Umpires that are like that, just admit you were wrong. Like, it's just, and then there's pictures floating around of him in Red Sox shirts and whatever, like, just embarrassing. So, all in all, they did their job. 2 back. They got to keep it going, though. They're only halfway done. So they're 4-2. I said they needed to go at least 6-6. But now that they're 4-2, I want at least 7-5. I'm going there. So I think I hit almost everything there. Studs and duds, we'll obviously talk about some more things. So for the Giants, I have their stud as Brian Burns. He had 2 sacks, and he made his presence felt. He beat, I think it's Josh Connerly, I believe, is the rookie right tackle for Washington. He made him look like a rookie, and that's what a guy like Brian Burns should do. I already talked about him a bit briefly. I was considering Abdul Carter. I'd even talk about the special teams play he had where he blocked that punt. Washington did get a lucky bounce on that. But I think they should keep him in the punt team. I mean, if he's doing stuff like that, that's a way to get him on the field too. And he almost blocked one before that on a different punt play. Yeah, so I'd say Brian Burns is the stud, but Abdul Carter was kind of like the runner-up. And the dud, Brian Dable / Mike Kafka / Joe Shane. So let's go piece by piece. We'll start with Mike Kafka because he is calling plays now for the offense. They weren't playing to Russ's strengths, weirdly, and then the red zone play calling. The red zone play calling was terrible. It was so bad. They had 7 plays to score from first and goal because they got bailed out by Washington on the 4th and goal. There's a penalty. It was illegal hands to the face on Illuminor. His helmet almost came off. So they had 4 opportunities there, don't score. Then they get the hands to the face, so it's first and goal from the 1. First and goal from the 1. And guess what the first play is that they call? A trick play pass to Marcus Bowe. No one's fooled. So let's keep track here. Play number 1 is a target to Marcus Bowe sailed over his head because he wasn't open. It was a throwaway. Number 2, run up the middle. Cam Scadaboo gets lit up, runs into Marcus Bowe. Marcus Bowe essentially tackles Cam Scadaboo. So I won't necessarily blame that on Kafka because I mean that's probably something I would do. It's just the problem with Scadaboo is he's just really small. It's I don't know if he's the greatest goal line back. I don't know. But that doesn't work. Last play is a target to Chris Manhertz, gets sailed over his head, and then you settle for 3. First and goal from the 1, and you settle for 3 is a failure. That is not a successful drive getting those 3 points. If you have first and goal from the 1, you have to get it in. Have to get it in. It's just interesting fact for you guys, too, if you're watching at this point. I saw this from Bobby Skinner. The last Giants Week 1 touchdown was from Chris Myrick. If you don't know who that is, I am not surprised. So, yep, last Week 1 touchdown is Chris Myrick. All right, Brian Daboll. At the end of the day, though, this all falls onto Brian Daboll. He still has a huge say in the offense. Every year, they say, gotta start hot. They're playing more guys more in the preseason. Gotta start hot. Haven't done it. They have scored 12 points in their last 3 Week 1 games. They're just always awful in Week 1. It's because the whole offseason, I don't care if you're rooting for the worst team of all time. You're going to have a little bit of hope, and you're going to have a little bit of okay, maybe we can actually do something this year. I'm excited for the season, especially as Giants fans. We haven't made the playoffs much at all recently, just 2022 and 2016. And then, this season, Jackson Dart, Russell Wilson, new look, this, Abdul Carter. And just the same old Giants. His seat's getting hot. I mean, it was hot, but it's scorching. Just see if there's anything else. First half Week 1, the Giants have been outscored 67-6. And I believe this is this is just under Brian Daboll. Under Brian Daboll, the Giants in the first half of Week 1 games have been outscored 67-6. There's Brian Daboll. Joe Schoen, the offensive line. So we think back to the first draft of Joe Schoen on the offensive line. He drafts Evan Neal, he drafts Josh Azudu, he drafts Marcus McKeithen. Since then, in 3 drafts, he has drafted John Michael Schmitz and Marcus Bowe. They keep doing these Band-Aids on the offense, on the offensive line. And the issue is, you could argue Illuminor. Illuminor might be an exception to this, but who on the Giants offensive line when Andrew Thomas is hurt is an advantage for the Giants? John Runyon's not. JMS sure isn't. Greg Van Roten is 36 and I think he's 36, maybe even be older, and was brought in August of last year. He's not an advantage. James Hudson sure isn't an advantage. They keep trying to Band-Aid this offensive line. That's not how you're going to fix the offensive line. You got to put resources into the offensive line to fix it. And 2 draft picks in 3 years, and only 1 being in the first 4 rounds, That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. And I mean, I understand Evan Neal was bad. I understand JMS is bad. Who's drafting those players? Who's developing those players? Why are they bad? You tell me. The stud for the Yankees, let's get back on a good note here, is Max Fried. Max Fried had a great week. 14 innings pitched, 2 wins, 9 strikeouts. He was a little rocky to start the Toronto game, but he settled right in and still gave the Yankees 7 innings, a 3-run ball. I mean, that's what you want from your ace. Like, get off to a bad start, you settle in, give them length. And that is the reason why our dud is Cam Schlittler. In a game where the Yankees kind of needed some length from their starter, Schlittler only gave them an inning and 2/3, 5 hits, 4 earned, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. So if we go back to Max Fried, you know, I keep saying that, but he did his job. Gave the Yankees length, put them in a position to win. They win the game. And I mean, I was considering Rodon maybe, but he made one less start than Fried. And for the dud, I was considering Volpe again. He's like 2 for his last 18 or something like that. No walks either. He just doesn't get on base. He had another error yesterday. He's got 19, I believe, which leads the American League. So just Schlittler, he gets a pass. He's been great. I'm super excited to watch that game. He had a bad start. It happens. Blue Jays were all over him. It happens. Anthony Volpe, this has just been years of bad baseball. I can't believe I'm talking about Anthony Volpe in this, but like he's hitting like $140 probably for the last month. A couple homers sprinkled in there. Doesn't get on base. He has not been a plus on defense this year, like fielding the ball or throwing. He's struggling with both. Someone says defense doesn't slump. It sure does with Anthony Volpe. Feels like he's not stealing nearly as many bases as he did his rookie year. There's just no way the Yankees can just roll him out and say he's our everyday shortstop next year. There is absolutely no way. That would be insane. But I feel like there's a chance that they do it because they don't want to admit that they're wrong by defending such a below average baseball player so much in the media. All right, I think I hit pretty much everything for these studs and duds. So let's get into the fan mailbag. This is our first mailbag with questions from the fans. I'm not going to lie, last week I kind of forgot to post it, and it got to Monday, and I was like, I got to record. So I found 2 questions online, but these are all coming from viewers of the show. So I feel like I haven't talked enough with the Yankees, or I don't post enough for the Yankees. So let's start with a Yankees question after I get a sip of water quick. So there's 4 questions. There's 1 about the Yankees, 3 about the Giants. So the first and only Yankees question is Aaron Judge return to right field fully viable? For me, this sounds stupid, but it's kind of viable. Because obviously he's a better defender than Stanton, and it gives the Yankees more flexibility there. He obviously is faster, can track down more fly balls, more like he's just a flat out better defender. He'll lay out more. Like there's no doubt. Like everyone knows, Aaron Judge is a better defender than Giancarlo Stanton. The issue is Judge's arm. We saw on a play yesterday, fly ball to right field, runner on third. He tags up. Judge doesn't even attempt to throw it home. Just kind of lobs it into Jazz at second. That is worrisome because teams are going to see that and they're going to start running all over Judge. So what do you value more? Do you value the range and just the overall defense of Judge? Or do you value the arm of Stanton and kind of just eat the defensive woes? Here's what I would do. I would almost play it 50-50. I don't think Stan has proved, is he like the best defender in the world? No. But can he do it? Yes. I would have almost 50-50. I would still have Judge DH at times, have him kind of rehab that arm. Don't have him overdo it. I'm not a doctor, but like, you know what I mean. And then with Stanton, you can still have him DH at times because Judge still can play the outfield. He just can't really throw. So that's what I would do at least. I would have basically split it. I'd say split it only if they're in like favorable ballparks for Stanton, like Yankee Stadium, Fenway. Comerica, you probably are going to want Judge because it's a pretty big field. But I'm pretty sure the Yankees are home. I should probably no. Yeah, they're home. So they could easily split it. They could split it 50-50. Do I think they're going to do that? No. They're probably just going to keep rolling Judge out there. And you can't have Judge be like a defensive replacement. Like, you're not going to put Caballero in right and pull Judge. Like, that's just not going to happen. So it's kind of just what the Yankees value more. My guess is they probably value the defense and just having your captain in the field. But I would personally probably split it 50-50. All right, so these next two questions go hand in hand. It's what can the Giants do to get their offense going and what went wrong with the Giants offense. So let's start with what went wrong. There's a lot. Quarterback play was not great. Running back play was not great. Offensive line play was not great. You combine all those things with below average or mediocre to like below average players, and you're not going to have a good game. Russell Wilson, his deep accuracy, as I mentioned earlier, was not good. He panicked in the pocket, rolled out at times when he didn't necessarily need to. Doesn't read the middle of the field at all. Missed Malik Neighbors at one point, wide open in the middle of the field. And then no push up front, so they can't run the ball, so they have to keep throwing, and then it's this whole mess. So that's what I think went wrong with the Giants offense and the play calling. The play calling was also not good. What can they do to get their offense going? This is what I really want to dive into. There's a couple of things. Play to Russell Wilson's strengths. They said on the broadcast that Brian Daboll has watched every single play of Russell Wilson's NFL career, which is like almost 7,000 plays or something like that. It didn't look like he did that at all yesterday. Like, it did not seem like they were playing to Russ's strengths, which is, I mean, the deep ball was a little off, but I don't think they threw enough of the deep ball, and just they were forcing Wan'Dale Robinson in the quick game, and that's not really what Russ like does. Like, I don't know, it felt like it was like the same offense as last year, and Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson are very different quarterbacks. So I think they need to play more to Russ's strengths. The run game, like it's I don't know, maybe if they should try like maybe an end around with Neighbors to get something going in the run game, or just maybe, I don't know, like running back screens. Like, I think it's tough to establish the run when it's just consistently no yards, 1 yard, 2 yards, loss of yards. Like, you kind of just gotta hope that next week it's better. Like that, I'm not like, I don't really know how you fix the run game, to be honest. I think getting Darius Slayton involved more would help. I mean, one target for a guy you gave a 3-year deal to, who is the Giants' #1 receiver like every year since he's been in the league, before Malik Neighbors. So I think getting him involved would help. Theo Johnson catching the football would certainly help. The big thing, though, is getting Andrew Thomas back. You got to hope you get Thomas back, get Hudson out, because I believe Hudson gave up a sack and like 4 pressures. If that's Thomas over there, he probably doesn't give up anything. Probably no pressures, no QB hits, no sacks. Because Thomas should be able to shut down Von Miller and whoever else they had out there. So that would have certainly helped. I mean, Russ was pressured on, I believe it was like 35% of his dropbacks, and he was like 2 for 12 when he was pressured. So that would certainly help right there. So all in all, getting Andrew Thomas back, playing to Russ's strengths, getting Darius Slayton involved. I think if you do all of that, I think that would lead to a better Giants offense. And the last question is probably the biggest one. Can Russell Wilson be trusted as the week 2 starter? That's a complex question. Can he be trusted? No. Should he be the starter? Yes. Is he the starter? Yes. That was actually confirmed about 2 hours ago now. Russell Wilson will be starting week 2 for the New York Giants, which is the right decision. As much as you might be the biggest Russell Wilson hater ever, be like, he's terrible. He played so bad yesterday. We need to get Dart in the game. Chill. Just chill. They have a plan with Dart. They should not abandon that plan because Russ had one bad game. And as much as you think he might have played terrible, you'd be crazy to say it was all his fault. It was not. Did he play good? No. Did he help himself? Not really. But should he be starting next week? Absolutely. Sorry, I keep needing water. And I might go out and say, this is probably an unpopular opinion. I think he should start at least the next 2 weeks. I don't care how bad it looks next week. I do not think Jackson Dart's first game should be a prime time against Kansas City. I just think that is a recipe for disaster. But if Russ plays bad next week, I think they go to Dart. So my prediction is I think Dart's going to play week 3. I really do. I don't think Russ is going to look much better next week. And I think they're going to go to Dart. I think they want to do it. Dable would not commit to Russ in the post game. He did it today, but he would not do it yesterday. I think he wants to do it, but I think it's going to happen week 3. And then the question goes, what do you do with Russ? Is he really going to want to sit all year? Are they going to be able to do with something that they did with Daniel Jones? Can they cut him? Could they get anything in a trade? Does he have a no trade clause? I'd have to look that up. It's a really complex issue. Here's best case scenario for me. I mean, Jackson Dart lovers might not like this. Is Russ balls down next week, and then the question goes to rest. That's what they need to have happen. I'm in the boat of Dart sitting longer. I don't think that's going to happen. Dable knows Dart's his only hope to save his job unless they start winning some games. So he's going to want to get him in, get as much film on him as possible. The thing is, though, for me, as a fan, a casual fan, obviously casual fans are not the ones that run the organization. I mean, maybe you could think about this as an owner, but what's the difference between Dart playing let's say Dart plays decent. Is there a big difference between him playing decent in 14 games compared to 8? So you could use that in your argument either way of whether or not you want Dart to start or not. I think he should sit longer. Coming out, everyone knew he needed to sit, but now that Russ is playing bad, they want to rush him in. My opinion is if they didn't name Dart the QB2, we'd be having this conversation about starting Jameis this week, which Jameis can certainly read the middle of the field better than Russ, but that's also how he's going to start turning the ball over. So can Russ Wilson be trusted as a week 2 starter? I don't think he's trusted. I don't think that's the right word, but he should be the starter. I don't think he's really trusted. All right, so we'll hop now into this week in history. I found a really cool one for the Yankees. So in an unprecedented back-to-back occurrence, Yankees reliever Bob Grimm hit a 3-run walk-off homer on September 5th, 1957 to beat the Red Sox 5-2. The very next night, a pitcher from the White Sox, Dixie Howell, hit a walk-off solo homer, and that is the only time consecutive pitchers hit walk-offs on consecutive days. That's insane to me. Relief pitcher hitting a 3-run homer off Boston, and then the next night, another reliever did it. I was blown away when I saw that. And now for the Giants, on September 2nd, 1984, the Giants just barely defeated Philadelphia 28-27, and this showed the team's grit and ability to pull off close wins early in the season. I wish we could have that. I feel like there's no grit either on this team. I feel like Frank the Tank. There's no heart. There's no grit. But that is that. So let's look forward here. For the Yankees, they have 3 coming up at home versus Detroit, and then they have 3 in Boston. They need to go 3-3 or better. I think they need to win this Detroit series because I do not trust them in Boston at all. I feel like they've just been playing terrible recently against the Red Sox. Hopefully they don't have to face Crochet. I didn't check the pitching probables. Let's look that up right now. Yankees probable pitchers and see, because they're lined up to face Crochet. I think they might be in some trouble. Or if they're facing Scooble, that could also not be ideal. I mean, that's not ideal for any team, but hopefully Yankees are missing him. It's not loading right now. So Casey Mize versus Will Warren, Jack Flaherty versus Carlos Rodon, and then TBD versus Schlittler. So I wonder if that might be Scooble on Thursday, and then the games against Boston are not, or both TBD. So we'll see. At the end of the day, you got to beat the best to be the best. So see how that goes. Little standings update. The Yankees are 80 and 63. They are 2 games back of the AL East. They're up a game and a half on Boston. They're up 5 games on the Mariners and are up 6.5 on Texas. The Yankees are 2 wins away from being 500, 3 away from being above 500. I don't remember the last time they were like 82 and 80. Wasn't it 2 years ago when they didn't make the playoffs? But like they have not been, it's something crazy like that they have not been below 500 in like so long. So that is the Yankees series coming up. Now for Giants Cowboys, I have some things to watch for. Similarly to Terry McLaurin versus Malik Neighbors, I have CeeDee Lamb versus Malik Neighbors. I am worried for what CeeDee Lamb could do to this Giants defense. I mean, they did a pretty good job against McLaurin. Again, there were some missed opportunities, but at the end of the day, they held him to 2 catches for 27 yards. But CeeDee Lamb last week against a better Eagles defense had 110 yards, and that was like disappointing because he had 4 drops. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. And then there's George Pickens on the other side. So I think my guess is one of those 2 guys are going to go nuts, and the other one might be kind of quiet, but we'll see. I mean, Cordell Flott and Deontay Banks on George Pickens is not ideal if you travel with Debo. And then if you don't travel him, then you're going to have one of those guys on CD, which is even worse. Not a very good. Then they need a better safety play, too, to help out with that matchup. And then Malik Neighbors got to make his catches a little bit easier. Got to get him the ball. I mean, they did 12 targets, so I can't say they got to get him the ball more, but they got to make his catches easier. I felt like he had to work for everything. Make him the vocal point, make it easy passes, that kind of thing. Next note I have is Giants offensive line. If Andrew Thomas is back, even if he's not back, there has to be improvement there. It was really bad, especially in the run game. Got to get that going a lot better next week. I have the pass rush. They got to keep doing what they're doing, and Dexter hopefully can be better. But that's like the one spot where I'm like, just do what you did just do what you did against Washington, and we'll be good. Special teams I had down. I didn't really talk about that, but special teams, they did their job this week against Washington. Let's keep it going. I feel like special teams at least once a year loses the Giants a game. So I might have that down for every single Giants game. Clean special teams play. It's huge. They have not won in Dallas since 2016. So 9 years the last time they defeated Dallas. That is insane to me. Let's change that. Because let's be realistic here. Giants don't win week 2. They're 0-2. Then they got to play Kansas City on primetime. Then they got to play the Chargers. That looks like an 0-4 start to me. And then Dart's definitely in at that point, and then you're already looking to next year. Let's not have that happen. Let's not have the season be over by Halloween. That, please. No, let's not have the season be over by, like, before kids even pick out their Halloween costumes. Let's just say that. Let's maybe have the season. Let's have it going around Christmas. That would be. I mean, that's like hasn't happened outside of 2022, like really ever in my life. So that would be a nice change. But let's at least get through Halloween. They're 3.5-point underdogs. As I did that last night, that might have changed. I'm gonna look it up right now. Giants Cowboys spread. It was 3.5. It is now 4.5 for Dallas. Not surprised. I thought that was a pretty good line, honestly, for Dallas. There was one thing about the game that I didn't talk about. The Giants' second and third and long defense was so bad. Like, it was so bad to watch. At one point, I was like, Washington should just purposefully false start here and get themselves to like a 1st and 20 because that's where they're doing all their damage. I mean, it was like 2nd and 20 and they're getting 12, 15, 18, first down. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, that's where the Giants should feast with their pass rush is second and third and longs. But no, they were just getting torched. It was unbelievable. So I think I hit on everything there. Giants just go win. Yankees just go win. I mean, Giants especially, they desperately need a win. But the Yankees too. I mean, they're battling for the AL East. Every win matters right now. Got to prove that they can beat those teams that are over 500. So we're at about 41 minutes now. I think I am hit pretty much everything I got. I think I am about all set here. Just making sure. Yep. All right. So I will see you guys next Monday, hopefully with some better news about the Giants and hopefully the Yankees took care of business once again. Make sure you guys follow all my social medias. I'm pretty active on those. And yeah, I will see you guys next Monday.